Welcome to another episode of the Brown and Black podcast. My name is Jack Rico.
And I'm Mike Sargent.
And every week we take a look at race and pop culture through a brown and black lens. Mike, today I want to talk about movies. We're entering July 4th, and I thought that we should talk about two key movies that are coming out. One of them is coming out this week, and another one came out, but still has a lot of buzz around it. But I also thought that before we do get into that, we should talk about our Substack.
Yes, we should. Substack is getting bigger and bigger, and we just had to be part of it.
We've soft launched about 2 months ago. And the reason that we decided to do a Substack was, number one, we're in the media and entertainment business, and it is crumbling before us. We are going through a shedding moment where, much like the metamorphosis of a butterfly happens,
or like the title of the film, Jurassic World, Rebirth, a rebirth.
Or a rebirth of our industry. And that's where the audience that we talk to are. The Black and Latino creatives of the industry that listen to this show just to get a sense of the pulse of how the work is interpreted by people like us, by people for us, and what that universe that is rarely talked about in mainstream media, that's all we do. So we thought that the Substack was a great extension of the podcast. How many things, Mike, have we wanted to talk about on the podcast? People we've wanted to talk to that we just don't have the space because the show is a bi-weekly audio podcast.
And now that gives us a space where we can not only do interviews, bring up topics.
So when you get to it, go to brownblackpodcast.com, brownblackpodcast.com, and it's going to take you to our Substack. And once you're there, you could subscribe. We charge $8. It's up to you whether you want to or not. You're free to choose other options as well. And what we offer is a newsletter in the theme of a social club. And we're calling it the Brown and Black Social Club. And this is for our listeners who want to just have more of a community sense of the vibe that we've been providing for 4 years, that creative industry talk with real talk about how the system affects us and how it impedes us for sometimes thriving. And then when we do thrive, what were the reasons for that? So this social club is to kind of bring together Black and Latino creatives to discuss the industry, how race affects us every single day within the industry, our friends, and how do we interpret pop culture through a brown and black lens? So music, what to watch. It's a curated newsletter of what Mike and I have liked throughout the week, the conversations we've had, some of the great interviews we've had in our podcast throughout the years.
I particularly like what you just mentioned, the fact that we've interviewed so many, not just celebrities, but thought leaders. And there are things that they've said that become relevant to the times that we're in. And it's like any good lesson. Sometimes you need to be reminded. And so I like the fact that we can go back and revisit these things and see how it applies now to the context of the world we're living in right now.
So if you want to give it a look, we're officially launching this week. Come along, be a part of the creative brown and black community that we want to build, especially in a time where, Mike, you talk about how they want to erase us, man. That's like a real thing. And how divided we are. So step into the social club, step into that new world that we're curating just for you guys. Around this time in July, man, everybody wants to go to the movies. Even if the movie-going experience isn't what it used to be, at least for Gen Xers, boomers, a lot of millennials, they want to go to the movies. And I thought that we should talk about two movies in particular that I think are getting a lot of buzz right now. And one of them is Jurassic World Rebirth. And the other one is Materialists. It's the one I saw. You haven't seen. I haven't seen Jurassic World. You've seen it. So why don't we begin with Jurassic World Rebirth?
Dr. Henry Loomis, this is Zora Bennett, our mission specialist.
Sorry, what mission?
This would be a medical breakthrough that could save countless lives. It comes from the largest dinosaurs on the planet.
Oh my God.
Fortunately for us, all these species exist in one isolated place. Can you be ready tomorrow?
I can guarantee your safety. I mean, more or less.
More or less?
We're talking about summer movies. We're talking about summer movies as a time where you have summer blockbusters. And pretty much anybody who knows about film knows that Steven Spielberg, with the movie Jaws, essentially invented the summer blockbuster.
That's
and
right.
he's the producer of the Jurassic World or the Jurassic Park series. He did the first two films, and he's been producer on all of them. This is essentially the seventh. It's the beginning of a third trilogy that they want to do. It's written by David Coep, who wrote the original or co-wrote the original with Michael Crichton, and it's this time directed by Gareth Edwards. Now, let me just say a few things here. I have enjoyed the Jurassic Park movies, even when people have trashed them, because I think, okay, it's a dinosaur movie. I feel like you set your expectations. It's if you go to see a monster movie or a zombie movie, that's what it is. So I've gone and I've more or less enjoyed them. I went into this thinking, okay, it stars Scarlett Johansson. She's this covert operation expert. Mahershala Ali, he's a mercenary that she hires and is going to be the team leader of all these people. And there are only a certain amount of dinosaurs left because of our environment and whatnot. They couldn't survive. They can only survive around the equator. So you stay away from the equator because that's where the dinosaurs are. She gets hired by a sleazy tech guy to go in and get some dinosaur DNA because it's got medical properties that they feel that they can exploit. I buy all of that. That's fine. Now, that's the plot of the movie. They're going to go to the island. There's a team of mercenaries. She's leading it, and they're going to try and get DNA from living dinosaurs while they're there. I won't go into how they do that. But there's another movie going on at the exact same time. And that one is about a family, a Latino family.
What?
Yes, exactly. This is a brown and black film. We got Mahershala Ali and now Manuel Garcia Rulfo.
Oh, yes. He's the Lincoln Lawyer. And as you
Lincoln
know, the
Lawyer.
Lincoln Lawyer, it's in the top 10 most viewed shows globally on Netflix.
There it is. He plays Mickey Haller. And so he plays a dad who's there with his teenage daughter and his little daughter and the teenage daughter's boyfriend who he doesn't like. And they happen to be out in the water, in the ocean, because he's a seaman and he knows what he's doing. And they're on vacation and there aren't a lot of dinosaurs, so they didn't figure they'd run into any dinosaurs. Of course they do. And they get exiled on the island. And at some point, those two stories intersect. It's really interesting that we've got this whole other story with this Latino family that gets shipwrecked on a dinosaur island. Meanwhile, Scarlett and Mahershala Ali are there doing what they're doing. The setup is interesting. I wanted to like this movie, dude. I really did.
So what happened?
I think they should retitle it Jurassic World, Rinse and Repeat. Because basically, that's what happens. David Coep, who wrote this, supposedly was reluctant because he felt, what could he bring to the series? And, you know, they're going to find this lab where they were doing these mutated dinosaurs and they abandon it, but these dinosaurs are there. It has a number of moments that are mirroring the old films, but nothing new happens. The plot, the premise, I'll be honest, with the exception of the Latino family drama happening, that's probably the most interesting part of the film for me because I felt the Scarlett Johansson character, we've seen that character before. She's the badass who can, I guess, fight dinosaurs. And Mahershala Ali, he's another badass who has a team who can fight dinosaurs. Dude, I wanted to like this movie a lot. The first act is good. It just got progressively sillier and sillier. This is the weakest of the Jurassic series for me.
I had put a lot of faith into this. And once I saw Scarlett Johansson on the poster and how much she had talked, like the whole narrative heading into this release was that Scarlett Johansson was the biggest fan of Jurassic Park, that she had seen the original,
Since
that
she
she
was a
always
kid.
wanted to be in the Jurassic Park movies. And now that she's going to be here, I'm like, well, I got to ask Mike, is Scarlett worth the price of admission alone?
Here's the thing. Both Scarlett and Mahershala are great actors. So they take this cheesy comic booky dialogue and they sell it. But it's still cheesy comic booky dialogue. It's still just kind of corny and silly. Part of the plot of the film is that at this point, the world is bored with dinosaurs. They've seen there, been there, done that. The novelty of dinosaurs has gotten stale. But you have to say the same thing about the Jurassic Park series, because the novelty that was there in 1993 is not there anymore.
1994. There's a huge movie theater back in the 90s. I think it was called the Midway Theaters in Forest Hills. And they had, in one of the bigger screens in Queens, this movie called Jurassic Park.
There it is.
That was about your eyes will be shocked. You know, kind of like when Superman first came out. I was like, your eyes won't believe that a man flies.
I was just going to say, like, with it, you'll believe a man can fly, right?
You'll
right.
believe a man can fly once you see the movie. And it was promising these things that were supposed to be revolutionary. The same way when James Cameron promised us Avatar, it was revolutionary. To me, I think I was putting also a lot of faith that AI has gone so far that maybe the special effects here, Mike, would have been revolutionary and that you would have led with that. But I guess they didn't impress you either.
The special effects are fine. But at this point, there have been a ton of dinosaur movies since Jurassic Park. Now you can literally do on your computer the same special effects you see in a blockbuster film. So
man.
it's really got to come down to characters you care about and a story you care about. And this story is like, you've seen this before. It's humans on an island and there's dinosaurs and who's going to save them?
So then just to finalize this, so what was the approach? How did you feel that Hollywood treated the Hispanic family within a franchise mainstream IP that has for the first time seen a Hispanic family? Because I think this is the first time that the IP franchise ever introduces a Hispanic.
Yeah, I was stunned. Like I said, it's probably the most interesting part of the film was that Manuel Garcia Rulfo plays Ruben Delgado. He's the father of this family, and they're on this expedition. And there's a whole subplot where we think the daughter's boyfriend's kind of an asshole and the dad doesn't like him. But then, of course, he starts to do things. He saves her life. He does all these heroic things. He's starting to gain the dad's respect. But then they don't really go anywhere with it. And the whole idea of the family being there, it just seems there were two movies. They had two concepts, two plots. What if a family got trapped on this island, which would have been an interesting movie, like without all the guns and everything, how they're going to survive?
That sounds way more interesting than what you're telling me, man.
Exactly. But then the other thing with the mercenaries and they go like, we know some people are going to get eaten, and we know that.
But did it deliver horror like jumps?
Let's just say, after 6 Jurassic movies, other than the fact that we see mutations, dinosaurs that never existed, mutant dinosaurs, the mutaton or whatever it is. Other than that, no. Like I said, it starts out good. There are a few really interesting sequences in the beginning, and I don't want to spoil it for those who are going to go see it anyway and get out of the heat and go into the air conditioning with popcorn. But there's so many things. There's the scientist played by Jonathan Bailey, who is there, and he's the expert, and he didn't know that he was going to be dragged into this, and he's there, but he thinks that the dinosaur DNA should be made available to the whole world. And so he's the idealist. And
let me tell you something, man. I think that the only solution that I can see for this franchise to really survive are two things, Mike. Number one, when something's not working and you keep on trying to do it in the same exact way, you got to pivot. Here's what I would do, man. I would take the Jurassic Park franchise and I would convert it into a TV series.
I see. If there was a family trapped on some dinosaur island for 10 episodes.
Exactly, for 10 episodes.
Right, 10 episodes, like a dinosaur Swiss Family Robinson. I'd be into that. You know what I'm saying? I'd be into that.
Dude, an HBO level.
And it's a Latino family.
So there's the ability to then have that exotic flair that these movies don't have. introducing a new language. I mean, same story, same sort of DNA of the story of the dinosaurs. Like, it's ultimately around them. But you know what? The best template I think I've seen so far of the monster TV series done so damn well, that should be the blueprint for the Jurassic Park series, is Monarch, the Godzilla TV series.
Monarch was excellent. Monarch was excellent.
Bro.
Monarch was excellent. Yeah.
Monarch is one of the best TV shows in the last 3 years.
And there's a lot of reasons why.
Because you never saw Godzilla until almost like the very end, like deep in. But the storytelling was so amazing. And it was like really dramatic. Dude, it started off, for those of you who haven't seen it, you should, I think it's on Apple TV. It's about a man who's disappeared, a father, and his kids are trying to find him. And then they find out that the dude had 2 families in 2 different coasts. So the kids are affected and broken, but there's also the Asian culture meets the American Asian culture. So there was all these dynamics happening that were creating already a tension, and you hadn't even seen Godzilla yet. You felt the monster in each episode. And I feel like if this Jurassic Park took more of a darker tone, more of a television series tone, and internationalized it, then I think we would be seeing something completely different.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because wouldn't it have been interesting, even in the plot, that if we did the other movie with Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali, what if they went there to go get this DNA and another European or Asian company was there to do the same thing?
Oh, that's another great idea.
Right?
So now
That
you
would have
have
been-
this conflict within them.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
usually, oh, dude. See, like we just on this podcast alone are coming up with ideas that we as the audience would have thought that was more modern and different for like the times. Another thing that I thought has worked quite well, Mike, is the crossover collaborations between monsters. It's Godzilla
Yes.
and King Kong.
Dude, I so on board with that. I'd love to see, like, what if the Predator went after the ultimate prey, the dinosaur?
And the T-Rex.
Mike, you're dropping gems, bro. Mike should be the next writer and director of the next Jurassic television franchise. Mike's available, folks.
Jack will be my creative producer. So there it is. So, Jack, you saw a movie, though, that I didn't see, but then when I read about it, I have tons of questions for you, because you had said to me, well, Mike, I'm surprised you didn't see that because it's right in your wheelhouse. And it is. I even made a movie about dating and all of that. So tell me about The Materialists.
Hey, are you single? I'm a matchmaker. Give me a call if you want to meet somebody.
I deserve someone who fulfills all of my criteria.
Nothing over 20 BMI.
I don't want someone who likes cats. I'm trying to settle.
I promise you're going to marry the love of your life.
The Materialists is a movie about a successful New York City matchmaker for the rich and the powerful, played by Dakota Johnson. And it takes place in New York City as that classic setting of like Sex in the City. We've seen them all, and it's alluring, man. It's just that New York feel and vibe just captures the movie very well. It's about her caught up in a love triangle between Pedro Pascal and Chris Evans. And I think that the marketing alone and the fact that it's A24, the fact that it's Celine Song, who has a lot of buzz right now within the romantic genre. She did Past Lives that I was nominated for a Best Picture, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
And so this was so compelling to me that my wife and I were like, hey, this looks great. And this seems like a kind of a cool movie that we would want to see, especially as a couple. And we went to this movie theater. Not many people were there. And the people that were there were all women. I think I was the only dude there. If you weren't with a boyfriend in there and you were there single and you were there with other girls, and they looked all mostly Gen Z, but it was mostly young, and it was like a girls' hangout night movie. And I was a little surprised because this is a movie with two men in it that are pining for the love of this one woman. You'd think that men would, accompany their girls to this, but then that's telling me that you don't have a boyfriend, but they want to know about love from this movie, the social commentary. What does it have to say about the culture of love and dating today in 2025?
That's really what I want to know. What does it have to say? And it actually doesn't surprise me that women would go, because there are a lot of movies that are male fantasies. One guy's got 3 women. That's a male fantasy. All right. This is a female fantasy. You've got, like I said, Mandalorian and Captain America competing for you. All right. So 2 hot men are going after this one woman, and she's not sure who to pick, which I'm assuming is more or less the premise. And I could see that being a girls' night out kind of thing and the girls getting together. But I'm curious, what insights do you get from this? Because I had read that she worked for a matchmaking company, Celine Song.
Yeah.
And so this was inspired by some of the things she learned there.
So what we're introduced to is the highest ends of New York power. Somebody called this movie like Materialists meets Succession, because it was so about the high class. And the things I took from that is that class and classism was at the center of the love debate. And the social commentary that Celine Song was making is that love is messy. Love isn't a fantasy. As much as you want it to be, you're going to have to deal with some of the fallout and the margins of the imperfections that people, because they're human, just bring to the table. But the fact that media and entertainment have distorted our view of what love is through holidays like Valentine's Day, and they've commodified it where I have to buy you flowers and I have to take you to a restaurant, all of that value, that self-worth that the movie discusses in their characters are all looking for something true. But what they're getting is something artificial. This is a movie about love being transactional. And what happens when you live in an age of transaction? We've said this in speeches and speaking engagements that we've been together. You've spoken about the whole notion that society is a transactional society. So then why is not love included in all of that? And I think that this movie centers this debate about the nature of today's transactional people and the way they interact with their phones for love. Like, listen, man, when you look at a dating app and you look at reality show like Love is Blind, all that stuff is commodified. It's, you fit this description, you should marry this person and live happily ever after. And when have we heard any of these people live happily ever after? But then you start thinking that, how does other cultures deal with love? Like in the Indian culture, isn't it all arranged? And I mean, if you go back to the monarchy days, if you go back to the Roman days, weren't families who didn't necessarily marry for love were marrying for protection and survival and everything but love? So I feel like human society has never really operated on, hey, I just want to love somebody because money has always been in the way. And they've used love as a transaction for long-term survival.
There's so many things that you're saying there that I want to respond to, but I will say, I like this as a title of a movie. You just said Everything But Love. That's a great title for a movie. But it is transactional, and I'm gonna share something with you that I don't know. I've shared this with very few people, and it's never come up. But now I made a movie called Personals, and this was during the period where people used to put an ad in the Personals, and then there was video dating services, and there are all these. The whole dating the dating culture has evolved over time. But
Oh my God,
matchmakers,
has it ever?
yes, and matchmakers though have been around for a long time. About 10 years ago, out of the blue, I don't know if they found me on Facebook, but some woman reaches out to me and she says, "Hey," and I'm pretty sure it was a company called Talkify. She reaches out, she says, "Hey, I work for this company, Talkify, and we match women up with single men, and you fit our criteria. We'd like to know if we can set you up on dates with these women." How could I say no? Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So I did, and I went on a bunch of these dates with these women. They had a whole thing that they did where it was like a creative thing, and you meet someplace, and you both are wearing like a green thing, and
It feels like a corporate business affair.
Dude, let's just say there were no matches there. But finding love is one of those elusive things, and I don't know if there's a formula. And the whole idea of who you're compatible with based on answering some questions, I mean, sure, if I'm into a certain kind of music and you're into a certain kind of music, it helps. If I'm into science fiction, you're into science fiction, it helps. But I don't know. I've always wondered just how well these things could actually possibly work, other than, like you said, the commodification of love.
It's about social class and the way women view men in a very classist way. It's about how much money you make. It's about the things that you can deliver to me that I am worth, and you need to match that worth. So there's all these expectations that she has as a character, and she finds all of this in Pedro Pascal. But the thing is that Pedro Pascal is just as corrupted commercially in what love is. He totally buys into playing the game, like to the point that the dude was like a maybe 5'7", 5'6", and does a surgery that increases his stature by 6 inches. And that plays a role into his desirability value to women that meet him. And that he knew that he could not deliver that at 5'6".
Wow.
I mean, I'm 6'2". I think you're even taller than me.
No, I'm 6'2".
So I'm 6'2". But no woman has ever told me, "I'm only going out with you because you're 6'2". So in my head, my height never was even an allure marker. Never. And here it's a status marker. And they made a whole point about it in the scene about the value of height in a man. So, as a tall person, I had never really seen it from that perspective as a commodified asset. And then the word asset kept on coming up over and over again. It was about how many of us don't see the value in ourselves, and how when anyone who does see a value in us, we automatically fall, quote unquote, in love with them, because we are so bereft of any type of value, of genuine, real value to the person, not to the title or where I work or, what the people that I know and I'm connected to. And no one cares. But to me, the bigger point of the movie is how capitalism and our own consumer habits, the ones we've been programmed since birth with, how it has infected our most intimate feelings, where we now see love as a shopping detail to like buy on Amazon or something like that. And even though I wasn't crazy about the ending, this is a thought-provoking film about human connection. And it's coming at a time where I feel that we need to understand why we're not coming together. And I think that this film allows us to be able to dig deeper into why that is.
So, Jack, before we go, I wanted to give a shout out to an actor I had the pleasure of directing, and as a writer had the extreme pleasure of him saying some words that I had written. and that is Keith David, who just got his Hollywood Walk of Fame announcement.
Well deserved, man.
Deserved. This is a man who's done literally hundreds of films, and he's so well known, so well respected. And I'm going to just share a really quick story. There was a point when we were casting the film and we were looking for, we had an actress who was going to be the lead, and then she pulled out at the last minute. So we had to really scramble. And when we talked to agencies that were not representing Keith David, they were on board because everybody at the agency loved Keith David. I've never heard that before. I've never heard that level of respect. So he's like an actor's actor. And in the industry, I don't know how you could not love Keith David. He can be funny. He can be menacing. He can be dramatic. He can move you. Just congrats, my brother. If you get to hear this, very, very proud to have worked with you and can't think of a more deserving actor.
It is the nature of humankind to fear what they do not understand. Their ways are not our ways.
And that's it for this episode of Brown and Black. And if you would like to support this podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. Your help will allow us to be heard by many more people. You can follow our comments and opinions on @BrownBlack Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, and now Substack. We'll see you on the next episode of Brown and Black.